So, which path leads to true happiness? That's the question we're diving in today. But what if I told you that it's not about choosing one path over another, but it's about embracing the wholeness of who you are? See, we live in a world that thrives on separation, mind versus heart, science versus soul, logic, intuition, right? But I've learned lots of things in this past 6 years, and one of the most important, powerful things is real happiness doesn't come from choosing sides. It comes from integration. It comes from unity. Okay, not just with the world around you, but more importantly, but what's with inside you. Because here's what I've discovered, right? The wisdom of spirituality, the clarity of Stoicism, and the truth of science, they're not in conflict. These are three different paths, different languages, pointing to the same destination, right? A life of peace, purpose, and authentic joy. Okay, I'm LJ, and thank you for tuning in today. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you'll heard me speak about that I lived through tough times, addiction, depression, anxiety, total disconnection from myself. And what saved me wasn't just spirituality. It was spirituality that kicked it off, right? But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just psychology, and it wasn't just logic, right? It was learning to bring them all together, to integrate the spiritual, the stoic, and the scientific. Right, and today I'm going to show you how you can use these three powerful paths, right, when you bring them together to guide you back to your truth, and more importantly, lead you to a life of real, lasting happiness. Oh, so we live in a world of polarity, right? You're either spiritual or you're scientific. You're either let go or trust, analyze, strategize, right? You either have faith or you need proof, right? But why? Why? Okay, because if I've learned something on this journey, it's that truth doesn't live at the extremes. It lives in the integration, right? Spirituality, stoicism, and science, they're often misunderstood as mutually exclusive. But when you really explore them, and I really have explored them, you'll see that these three lenses, they're pointing to the same ultimate wisdom. How to navigate life with meaning, how to face pain with strength, how to stay grounded through chaos, how to live in alignment with something greater than yourself. Okay, because a lot of people get confused about spirituality, right? And I used to get confused. Okay, spirituality for me is remembering who you are, connecting with who you are on a deeper level. I used to think spirituality was religion, right? It's not religion, it's not dogma, it's not about crystals, rainbows, and unicorns, and rituals, and floating in the cloud. No, okay, spirituality at its core is about connection. Connection to your true self, connection to the universe, connection to nature, connection to higher intelligence. It's the inner remembrance that you're not just a bag of bones reacting to the world. You're this divine creative force born with a soul, guided by your intuition, and destined to create, right? Create a life that you desire to create. Okay, and in my own life, yes, it was the spiritual awakening that woke me up, right? And that was after I had a massive breakdown, right? So I had the breakdown, the breakthrough was my spiritual awakening. I didn't even know what that meant back then. Okay? I thought it was all woo-woo bullshit. I really didn't believe in psychics or mediums or anything. I just thought these people are whacked out crazy people. Right? But after that, it was different. Okay? And after I had that spiritual awakening, there was a new reality opened up to me. Right? I knew that I had this deep knowing that there was more now. There was more to life, because I remember when I was 20, 21, I had this thought that I was here for more. And it wasn't just some thought, it was like more of a download. And I spoke it opened and I got shut down and I blocked it for 20 plus years. Okay, so I'd had something in the past, but then it was blocked. But now I'd had this experience, then I'd had other experience. It was just like, there's more to this world here, right? Because before then I'd been surviving, chasing, compensating. Okay, and I was disconnected from my truth, who I was at my core. Okay, and I believed that I was damaged, I was broken, right? That, nothing ever good was going to come in my life. But now I know very clearly that I am not broken. Okay, I am not what happened to me. They were just lessons that guided me towards my purpose. If not, they were beneficial. Okay, because a lot of people misunderstand that. They think their pain is a burden or punishment. No, it's just giving you the wisdom and the lessons you need to move to the next stage. Okay, and also, I am not my thoughts or feelings. Yeah, we have them, but I am not them. They're not a real representation of reality. I am the awareness. I am the creativity. I am divinely guided by something bigger. Okay, and that's what spirituality gave me remembrance. And from that place, I could then start to rebuild what was authentic to me, not try to live someone else's dream or try to please other people living in a world of wearing masks, because that's what I'd done for so long. And no wonder I was trying to drown myself to the grave, right? And then you look at Stoicism, right? And again, people get this confused. They think Stoicism is when you are emotionally cold, right? You don't feel anything, right? And that's a complete misunderstanding, right? Read Ryan Holiday's books. There's so much out there on Stoicism, and still yet people get it misunderstood, right? Stoicism is about discipline of thought, accepting of what is, right? And the mastery of self. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, these men who lived in chaos and they chose to remain calm. And that's what Stoicism teaches. You cannot control what happens, you can only control your response. If you ask me, that's spiritual, right? Because it's saying reality is neutral. My perception adds the suffering or the peace, right? Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about choosing what emotions guide your life. It's about waking up every day and saying, what do I control? What is not within my control? And where can I act from integrity? Right? And I believe that ties beautifully with spirituality. Because on the spiritual path, it's not about escaping the pain, it's about transforming it, alchemizing it. Right? And the Stoic path shows us how. In recovery, Stoicism gave me that mental armor. It reminded me that I don't have to believe every thought. The pain is a great teacher, right? That adversity is an opportunity to grow, right? And then we look at science. Science is often seen as the opposite of spirituality, but I'll argue that they are deep allies when approached with humility. Okay, science says, let's observe, let's experiment, let's explore reality. Spirituality says, let's experience, let's connect, let's align with reality. You see the overlap? Right, let's look at some examples, right? Look at neuroplasticity, right? Neuroplasticity, I think it's only been around for like 25, 30 years, right? And it shows us that the brain can rewire itself through repetition and focus. So what, if not, is manifestation, right? Spirituality says your focus creates your reality. Science proves it through the brain's ability to rewire neural pathways, right? Great, isn't it? What about heart coherence? Right? Studies show that emotions like gratitude and love create a state of psychological harmony between the brain and heart. Okay? Spirituality, and they've said this for centuries, that love is the highest frequency. This is just science finally catching up. Okay, and look at meditation. There's so many things with meditation, right? But just for this one, MRI scans show that meditation thickens the prefrontal cortex, which lowers stress hormones and increases emotional regulation, right? And also with meditation, they've done global meditations where they've brought the kind of thing is the frequency down on if there's been traumatic events in the world where there's chaos. Global meditations have brought that down, right? Spiritual practices have taught, presence and breath for thousands of years. Science just gave it a label, right? Science explains how, spirituality reveals why, and Stoicism shows how to live it on a daily basis. Okay, they go hand in hand. Okay, and let's look at it at the heart of it, right? What do science, Stoicism, and spirituality all agree on? They agree on awareness is everything. And this is what I preach from the rafters all the time, that awareness is the first step to change, right? Science calls it conscious observation. Spirituality calls it presence. Stoicism calls it judgment, right? And they all say this: you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your circumstances. You are the awareness behind it all. And from that awareness, you gain choice, right? Unbelievable. And this is the bridge, right? Awareness leads to self-regulation. Self-regulation leads to aligned action. Aligned action leads to meaningful creation. And this is how you reclaim your power. Okay, and how does it look in real life? I'll just give you a kind of a real life application, right? Morning time, okay? Spiritual. I meditate every morning. I connect to my superconscious, right? Stoicism. I journal what's in my control today, right? I plan my day. Scientific. I use breathing techniques to regulate my nervous system. So breath work, and it doesn't have to be some 15-hour breathwork ceremony. No, you can do breathwork in 10 minutes. Okay? Let's look midday, right? I walk through flow state, right? Combining focus and creativity, right? If I get negative thoughts, I notice them and I pause before reacting because I know I'm not my thoughts. And I ask myself before I'm taking any action, is this action aligned with my higher self or my path? Right? And I get this guidance, if not feeling within myself. And then at night time, I reflect, what did I learn today? Right? Where did I stay in integrity? Okay, where did I give my power to fear? What choice will I make tomorrow? That's what I do with my evening reflection process. This is integration, okay? And it's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. And this is what I've learned over the past 6 or 7 years, right? Because I used to believe there was such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Okay, and so why does this matter to you? Right? Maybe you're watching this and you've been on that spiritual path for a while, but it feels like you're just floating, you're not getting grounded. Or maybe you're just totally logical, but you feel numb, disconnected from any deeper meaning. Or maybe you're just trying to make sense of life in general. See, whatever the case is, these 3 paths will guide you home. Spirituality reminds you of who you are. Stoicism shows you how to act with discipline. And science shows you how your actions affect your body and your mind. This is wholeness that we're seeking, right? And it's not about picking a side. You're allowed to believe in the power of the quantum field. You still breathe through the pain like a stoic warrior and still run a brain scan that proves meditation is changing your life. Truth is truth. Whether it's written in a sacred book, a stoic quote, a scientific paper, see if it sets you free. It belongs to you. Okay, and if this video helped bridge a gap between the head, the heart, the science, and the spirit, right, drop a comment below. Which of these 3 paths speak the loudest to you? Because I love all 3 of them. Let's start a conversation and see if you want more content like this. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, right? Join me on this journey because, as I keep saying, I love doing this. I want to hear from you so I can make videos that resonate with you. If there's something you want me to talk on or a video you want me to make, leave it in the comments below, please. Right? I really want to connect with you. I truly want to build a community where we can all come and inspire each other. Because your life was never meant to be fractured. You were born to be fully integrated, to have it all. And I hope that I can help you get it all. Love you guys. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. It's another video here, and you can subscribe here. Take care. Bye-bye.